Coming up next on the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota, 5 key players, 5 walk-year players. Who will get an extension? Who should get an extension? Plus, it's Tuesday with Roman. You're just in time because Thielbar is back. CHGO Cubs next. Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by our friends at Toyota. It is Tuesday. That means it's just in time. Justin Roman is here. I'm Luke Stuckmeyer. He's Joey Christopoulos. And Sarah running the ones and twos.
Go Cubs.
Go Cubs.
Sarah gives me like the playoff vibes because when I started here, we had Sarah for like the playoff run, you know, and it's like I feel like we're back in it for a second.
The band's back together.
Yes.
I have not
Caleb
had
Thielbar, Sarah.
I haven't had
Caleb's
any
back.
Portillo's cake since the playoffs.
I have
Oh.
not
How about
had.
that for
I have not
restraint?
had Portillo's
What?
since
Whoa.
playoffs.
Okay.
Oh.
Hook up the polygraph here. You guys for real? You haven't had.
Well, since we finished whatever was in the fridge.
Which could have lasted for months, by the way. We had so much cake.
That's right. We're going to talk about those 5 players in their walk here. Should one of them get an extension? Should 2 get an extension? We'll try and rank them good, better, best.
There you
Yes.
Huh? And we'll talk about some of the other stuff going on around baseball. The Cubs did have a signing today, pending physical. Caleb Thielbar will be back in your Cubs bullpen. He's 38 years old. So for those of you that have been waiting for Bregman and Cease and Schwarber, so far we've got Maton, Milner, and Thielbar. Oh, my. Right? Like, it's not exactly the Christmas
Not one,
wish
not
list.
2, not 3.
I guess my first question about Thielbar is this. Of Thielbar, Keller, Pomerantz.
Yeah.
Which guy did you want back the most?
Well, I mean, I think it's obvious Keller was the best of all of them, you know, and he's still out there. I mean, it could happen as well. Bring the whole band back together. Lefties are valuable, though, and Thielbar, I know, isn't the sexy marquee signing that Alex Bregman would be for us, but you need guys like Thielbar to field a good team. You know, now we have 2 solid lefties and 1 down on the farm, and you know, again, this signing doesn't mean that we're not signing anybody else, but it's the signing that happened, and I think it's a good one. I really do. He was really good for us last year. And again, you need this kind of guy in your bullpen.
Yeah, look, I think it's a positive signing for the Chicago Cubs. Again, yeah, it's not really blowing our hair back. Look, the good part about it is obviously he was great last year on the Chicago Cubs. Set a lot of career highs, and honestly, he had his best season as a reliever. You could take that however you want when you think about relievers. Can you get the same return on that value the very next year? But stuff that I like, and I just pull up stuff on Caleb Thielbar. He had a chase rate in the 88th percentile, K rate in the 73rd percentile, walk rate in the 85th percentile. So he doesn't walk a lot of guys. He had a walk rate of only 5.9%. And again, didn't get a lot of hard contact. And what was really nice about it and will give you optimism. So on the one side, you say to yourself, Caleb Thielbar, 38 years old, just had his best season as a pro with an expected ERA of 2.47. When's the other shoe going to drop? The positives that I do like about it is that they brought a couple of new things to the game when it comes to Caleb Thielbar. Throwing his curveball more than it ever has before. Only got a 135 batting average on that curveball. Changed his arm angle a little bit where I'm not going to tell you what the difference is, but 52 degrees to 56 degrees. Just as a guy that loves sports and baseball, getting on top of the baseball
I think it's 4
more.
degrees.
Yeah, it's 4 degrees, correct. If
I
you
don't
can
do
check that just really quick.
I think it's here to here.
So getting on top of the baseball a little bit more, doing things a little bit different, and just making some small adjustments led to a lot of success for Caleb Thielbar.
And really fast, too, you said 38 years old, like it's a bad thing. Don't forget, lefties age really, really well. Jamie Moyer pitched into well into his 40s. So age doesn't matter for lefties.
He was like a Jedi or something. There was something going on with him.
What deal did he make?
Our guy at Steve42289 with a Toyota chat here says, Maillon, Milner, all ranked in the top 20 bullpen arms. Please don't be so into the big names. Remember, Scott Yates, ? Listen, I'm not poo-pooing the addition of Maillon or
Is he
Milner.
talking about Kirby Yates?
And
I think so. I was trying to figure. Kirby Yates. I think
he is.
Okay.
I'm not at all. I like both guys that they've added. I like bringing Thielbar back because another left. I don't want to have one left-hander in the bullpen and then find out he's hurt at spring and have no bullpen arm that's a lefty. So now, at least for now, they have two. And I think having Milner, he's probably the higher-end guy at this point in his career. It lets you take a gamble on Thielbar being 38 or 39 or whatever. Like, you're not as worried about him being potentially overused. He was 67 appearances last year. That's a lot for a reliever. But, he wasn't going 2 innings. Right. He was in to face the lefties and get his job done. So I'm not poo-pooing. Really, I'm not. I'm just saying if we went into the offseason, which we all did, hoping for big names, like we do every offseason, they haven't provided us anything close to big names so far. They have yet to provide us any big names.
The grammar here matters. There's still some big names out there, and they have yet to sign, and we'll talk about it later. I think it's a game of musical chairs. So you're right. This is not the big marquee signing we're all waiting for. But as Steve follows up with, $11 million for 2 of the top 20 bullpen arms. Listen, last time I was here, we talked about value. That's value, right? So now we got a good little solid bullpen, and now let's just keep expanding and getting better.
Yeah, 2 things can be true. I think we talked a lot on the show last year that Thielbar was a part of the last 9-out committee, so he's a guy that you can trust. Yep. But also, I don't think you just wipe your hands and say that the bullpen is over. One of my interesting, I don't know if I'll call it a concern, but the one thing that I am kind of intrigued about is let's just look at who's remaining in this stable of bullpen guys. And I want to just stick with the guys that I think we feel confident about. There are some fringe dudes, of course, but let's look at Palencia, Maillon, Thielbar, Milner, Ray, Assad, Brown, and Hodge. Okay. Now let's just go with the old fundamental axiom that we harped on a lot in the playoffs about you want guys that throw high heat and a lot of high octane stuff coming out of the bullpen. Right. We've had a lot of funk. I think we need a little bit more gas, right? If you look at the 99 four-seamers, Palencia 99.6. That checks every single box that you would like. Maillon, 90.6 on the cutter. A little bit more of that funk, more of that misdirection. Thielbar, 92.8. Okay, fine. Milner, 87.9. Definitely more of that funk and that junk for sure. Ray, 93.8. Assad, 92.2. Ben Brown, 95.8, and Hodge, 96. Ben Brown and Porter Hodge, Luke, are not guarantees, right? No. So I still think the Cubs could benefit from adding just kind of one more guy that brings that high velocity, that brings that swing and miss. And then I'm going to start feeling really confident about our bullpen mix.
So who is that guy? That's the question. Ben Brown, I like the idea of Ben Brown in the bullpen. Yeah. He throws harder than Assad. He throws harder than Milner. But he's still not like a 99, 100, 101, 102. Like, if that's the type of heat they're really talking about, who is it out there that you want to see them get? They also, by the way, signed Colin Snyder to a minor league deal, and he was a guy that they looked at before. He was great in 24 with the Mariners out of nowhere, and then last year kind of fell off. So they're looking – there's another reclamation project that they're thinking about. Keller throws pretty hard.
And he's still
but it's just that he might be expensive. And by the way, Steve followed up with $11 million for 2 top 20 bullpen arms. What a good GM. Now I'm starting to think Carter Hawkins has a burner.
Oh, yeah? Is that Steve? Yeah.
And that it's actually Steve 42289.
Guys, I feel like, and I've said it last postseason, I feel like, and I'm hoping this is, I don't know any inside scoop or anything, but I'm hoping behind the scenes they have told Ben Brown he's going to be a bullpen piece so he can mentally focus on only being a bullpen piece, because I think he can be a weapon out of the bullpen. You're talking about a guy that come in for an inning, 2 innings, maybe sometimes 3 innings. But like, I feel like if they focused on him being a reliever, everybody wants to be a starter. So if he's holding on to the dreams of being a starter still, but if they tell him focus on being a reliever, train to be a reliever, the stuff is definitely there. The pedigree is there. So I'm hoping that if they tell him that, he can be an actual sleeper for us next year in the bullpen.
So would you want to see him be like a 2-inning guy?
Possibly.
A 3-inning guy? Or do you want to see him come in and be bang, bang, 1-2 punch with Palencia type thing. You know what I'm saying?
I compare him to, remember when Keegan Thompson was like awesome?
Yeah.
And for a while he was like a multi-inning, he was a multi-inning weapon. I personally think that Ben Brown is more on that tip, or could be on that tip, because the stuff is there. He obviously can go more than one inning, and I don't think he's a closer because I think Palencia of right now is our closer. So I think Ben Brown can be more like how Keegan Thompson was in his like prime, like when he was like hot for us.
Yeah, I'm leaning that way too as well. I would really like to see Ben Brown lock into the 2 pitches that we know that he already has as an arsenal that are already dangerous. That curveball and that fastball. We know the fastball has that high velocity. It can be swing and miss. It's all about location and quality strikes for him, about where he puts it in the zone and how he runs out that sequence. I think it would benefit him to have a year of success, as Justin's talking about, pitching out of the bullpen. I think he's easily a multiple inning guy because you've seen it, Luke. When he gets hot, you kind of just want to let him roll a little bit. And when he gets in trouble, you get really nervous really fast. That feels like a bullpen guy to me, and I think that might be a good spot for him to start the year.
I think it's interesting because if you make him that potentially high-end Keegan Thompson guy that can go 2 or 3 innings and take you right to Palencia, right? Like you can go starter, then put in Ben Brown, and then right to possibly Palencia or who else they might add.
Right.
But it also allows you to then be flexible enough that you can stretch him out for a week. And if you see a start coming up, he could be an opener that could last 3 innings. He could be a guy that actually starts the game and goes longer.
And that's something that you've been talking about
that's
for
a
a while.
sod too.
You wanted guys,
and Colin Ray.
You wanted guys in the bullpen that could do that. Like you've been calling for that for a while, like a different way of thinking when it comes to relief pitchers. And Ben Brown could fit in that mold you were talking about.
Yeah, and just to add on top too of guys that are still out there that maybe bring the profile that a guy like Ben Brown already brings to the table. Just when we talk about velocity, average mile an hour 4-seam guys that I like that are still on the market. We've talked a lot about it. You know him. We are hopefully going to love him. Pete Fairbanks, the closer from the Tampa Bay Rays, 97.3 on the 4-seam average last year. Michael Kopech, we've kind of name-checked him as maybe a guy that later on you can get a good deal on, 97.5. Sean Armstrong, I know we're pillaging the Rangers bullpen right now, but why stop now, boys? Had an ERA under 3 last year. Miles per hour on the fastball, 93.5. That's fine. Luke Weaver, also a guy connected to the Chicago Cubs. From the Yankees, 95.1. And then the last one that I think is really interesting to me. This guy looks like a Viking. He looks like he's like stormed Mordor before. Ryan Stanek from the New York Mets, 98.5. The thing that's a little funky about him is he's got an ERA over 5 last year, but can you tweak that? Can you harness that? Can you get really good value on that? Just as a guy that brings a different complexion to a bullpen that has a lot of funk and a lot of weird deception to it. Can he just come in and throw some fastballs and get some heat and make that happen? Ryan Stanek is another name I would look at.
Man, Stanek, Kopech. What if you could add 2 more of those guys? Like
you could.
I mean, I like the idea of Fairbanks a lot.
I do too, actually. Yeah.
But at least I think you could get. Well, we know they like to bargain shop. You get better deals on the other 2. And you made me blush when you were talking about this guy looks like a Viking and all this stuff. I thought you were talking, and you were looking at me right in the eyes. Unreal. I was like, wow, he's really high on me today.
You're off the rally cake. I don't know. You're looking pretty good, man. But I'm just saying.
Kopech's another big dude. You know, I still think they need to add. They might need to add 2 more legit relievers to this bullpen. And I don't know. I'll be surprised if it's Keller coming back. There's a lot of mileage you put on that. I think enough teams look at him and might say, all right, what? Maybe starter. I want the Cubs to go all in on the lots of starter thing like I've talked about, where Ben Brown could look at that and you could just have a bunch of guys pitch 4 innings a game.
Outgetters. Yeah,
outgetters. I'm good with that. Or then I want to see – I can also see the positive side to taking Ben Brown and saying, we want you throwing gas. It'll uptick your miles per hour, right? Your velo will go up a little bit. And we want you to be a 3-out guy. And we want you to be that 3-out guy sometimes in the 8th. Sometimes it'll be in the 9th. Yeah. Sometimes that at-bat might come in the 7th. But don't even get yourself ready in the first 7 innings of the game.
Right. I mean, and the talent is there. The stuff is there. The pedigree is there. I mean, he has shown flashes of being unhittable. He really has. So ultimately, like, you know, we're not like wishing for something that isn't feasible. Like, I mean, he has shown I mean, he shut down Milwaukee in Milwaukee, right? I mean, we've seen flashes of him looking unhittable. So we've also seen a lot of wildness. But my point is, I really, really hope they're looking at him in the offseason and telling him, you are no longer a starter. For this team, for you to thrive, you're going to be a bullpen piece. Give him an offseason to train for that, and I think it could be really good results.
Be a big question for Craig Counsell once Cubs convention rolls around. All right, we're going to take a break here on the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota. When we come back, we'll start digging into those 5 players in their walk year. It's the CHGO Cubs podcast. Toyota-thon is on. Get your Toyota while the getting is good. Maybe you could score some value on the versatile RAV4. You guarantee you will with America's #1 selling vehicle. Ride with Tacoma, our rugged weekend warrior, or hit the road with Camrys available all-wheel drive. You know what we drive around in Chicago. You need the all-wheel drive.
Power.
Red hot savings ready for you at Toyota-thon. Visit your Toyota dealer today. Toyota, let's go places. What a time it is in the history of our lives, the history of our world, the history of our solar system, of our existence, to become a CHGO diehard.
Yes.
This is the moment for you to do it. Get your instant credibility with that diehard card that comes with it. Access to our exclusive written content, free t-shirt, plenty of discounts on future merch and events, plus access to the CHGO Discord Lounge, where we sit buck naked and sit around and talk sports with you, the CHGO Sports Cubs fan. Well, Cubs fan too, I should say.
Yeah, I was going to say, and that's a promise too, the buck naked.
Buck naked.
You know, Luke, I'm not a weather wizard, but, you know, when I look outside or when I stand outside, I think winter is here, man.
It's here.
And I have to ask the question to the viewer right here. Is your home's heating up for the challenge? And if it isn't right now, it is not too late to schedule your 4 Seasons furnace tune-up. At 4 Seasons, they guarantee same-day installation for all your heating, cooling, plumbing, electrical, and generator needs with no extra cost. For nights, weekends, or holidays, right now, you can save up to $4,000 on furnaces and comfort systems with 4 Seasons heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and electric. Furnaces start at $39 a month. AC combos for $57 a month. Call today and save $50 from your trusted local experts. It's 4 Seasons heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and electric. They've been serving the Chicagoland area for over 50 years. And right now, if you go to 4seasonsheatingcooling.com for all their special offers, and you'll get all their money-saving coupons. That's 4seasonheatingcooling.com. Check it out today and stay warm.
Don't be cold.
Don't do it.
Back on the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota. We have Justin Roman here.
Yes.
So I thought, what can we do? When you mentioned this, we started talking about this yesterday, Joey and I. And we said, all right, there's 5 guys that are walk-year guys.
And important guys, too.
Yeah.
All 5 are key pieces of the current Cubs. And all 5 are not super young. And you look at them and you say, well, would the Cubs extend somebody? We always hear the conversations about PCA. Is that ever going to happen? I don't know. We'll wait and see. Yeah. But I think one thing before we even start this conversation, somebody tweeted at me yesterday, and I should look it up. But you know, they were saying, I don't think that's going to happen before the CBA is set.
Yeah.
Any extensions. And okay, fine. We'll put that bow on the side of it, or the asterisk at the side, and say, that's possible. That's possible. But I think if you can get a good deal on someone here at a controlled number, that it's just a good number and you know it's going to work for you no matter if there is a real salary cap or whatever. If you know that's going to work, then that's not going to bother you anyways.
Yeah.
Right? Like
good value is good value.
Good value is good value. None of these guys are we talking about $300 million deals. Right. These are much smaller deals. So to me, it's actually more likely than PCA.
Yeah.
Possibly one of these. So here's the 5 names. Happ, Seiya, Nico, Taillon, Shota. Happ is 32. Well, this coming season, 32-year-old season. Seiya will be in his 32-year-old season. Nico will be in his 29-year-old season. Taillon will be in his 34-year-old season. And Shota, 32-year-old season. So you're talking about guys that'll be looking at it and say, yeah, this is probably my last chance at a really solid contract extension, right?
Yes.
Like they're going to want to get paid some decent money here. And some of these guys certainly will. And some are definitely on the back end of what I would call their career. Like they're trending down a little bit. So let's start with Happ, 32-year-old season.
Crazy. Like he looks perpetually 27.
Right?
Yeah, I'm sorry, but you know what I mean?
What would make you say, you know what? We can come to an extension with Happ that will work for us and we can lock down the way I view it is I would say I'd be locking down one of my 4 outfielders moving forward because he has that flexibility. He hits from both sides, so that's something he can offer you that the other guys can't, hitting from both sides, and he has been very consistent. Like, not just the Gold Glove. We don't always love the roller coaster during the season, but at the end of the season, it's always the same numbers.
It is. I will say he's very polarizing, and in a weird way.
Look at the chat. Kidding.
He's like the nicest guy. I've actually met him a few times. Like, he's a real nice guy, but he is so polarizing, and he's never once like said something where the fans should hate him.
No,
like it's like, but he's very polarizing, you know. And I think that I think Luke, you touched on it. It's because of the hot and cold. Right. I mean, he has gone ice cold many, many times. And I think fans really jump on that, I think that I don't think it's weird because I feel like the front office loves him. I think he's a Cubs lifer. He's a Cubs guy. I don't think I would put him high on my extension list at all. I think you have a lot of young outfielders out there. Obviously, PCA is a PCA for hopefully the next 10, 15 years. You have Casey. You have Alcantara right now. What are you going to do with him? You have Mo Baller. I think that for me, I know we'll rank them, but what does an extension with Ian Happ look like, and where does he play? Because we have a lot of young guns that are ready for their chance.
Yeah, what I love about this conversation is each of these players, depending on how they play and perform next year,
right,
could sign anywhere between a 1-year deal or up to a 4-year deal. I really think the variance,
That's crazy, right?
The variance is that wide, right? If one of these guys doesn't perform, whether it's Jameson Taillon or Ian Happ, I can easily see them trying to get a reclamation 1-year deal. The thing with Ian Happ is twofold. One, again, he probably will be very cost effective. If you wanted to do a multi-year deal with Ian Happ, I bet you he would actually be involved. He would be allow the concept of team-friendly team option deals.
Yeah. Yes.
Like if he signed a 3-year deal with a team option as the 3rd-year deal where it's really more like a 1 or 2-year deal, I could see that happening. The thing that's so vexing and confusing, and I get it with everybody in the chat here with Ian Happ, is every single year when you walk in, you always say like, what am I going to get from my baseball player this year? Can he exceed those expectations or their projections? Can he achieve my dreams and that potential? And all Ian Happ does is the same damn thing every single year. And I'm not saying that as a knock. It's actually a borderline compliment that in the crazy sport of baseball that is so high and unpredictable and chaotic, Ian Happ just does the same thing every single year. He wakes up, he wins Gold Gloves, he sells coffee, he hits 20 bombs, and he hits about 240, right? Like,
coffee,
He's got, I don't drink coffee, but I heard it's delicious.
Yeah, right.
So the part that I keep like scratching my head on, and maybe it's like, the winner getting to me is like, does Ian Happ have a season where he hits like 270 and hits 30 home runs? Does he have that inside of him?
Probably not anymore.
I don't think so.
I don't think that's
so,
coming.
Right?
Yeah.
No, I look at every name on this list, all 5, even Nico, and this is not a knock on any of these players.
Yeah.
I'm just saying an extension would have to, on any of the 5 players, an extension would have to include no idea. We are not giving no trade clause again.
Right.
Nobody's getting a no trade clause. That would have to be asterisk number 1.
Okay.
I agree with Craig on that.
Yeah.
Number 2 would be, I don't think any of them are guys that I look at and say, if they didn't extend him, think how much they're going to greatly, greatly regret this moving forward. Okay. None is such a high-end player, and that's not, again, I'm not knocking on them. They're all really good players. I like all 5 players. They've all, at moments, have been really good Cubs, but I don't think the Cubs need to be in a rush to get any of the 5 done, right? Like, I don't think you look at that list and say, if they don't do this now, what are they doing?
Right.
Nico would be the closest one on that list, but I guess that depends on whether or not you sign Bregman and what you're doing with Matt Shaw and what happens moving forward with different guys. So I no trade clauses. I want to see that be a thing of past. Okay. I don't want anybody being stuck around that way anymore. So I would
figure out a different bargaining advantage.
But
the no trade.
The positive about Happ is this. And somebody mentioned it in the chat. It's not his fault that he is who he is.
Right.
If you had signed Aaron Judge and you had PCA coming up, you wouldn't care that Ian Happ was on a roller coaster ride sometimes during the season, but it ended up giving you a gold glove and 25 home runs. You'd say what we did in the first half of the season, which is we looked at it and we said, wait a minute, do the Cubs have the best outfield in baseball? Because Happ's floor is so high, even with the slumps, that you can look at it and say, it's more about finding the superstar to go with him. Now, maybe that guy is PCA, and maybe Seiya can be that guy in right. I don't think defensively he is, but okay. So Happ is a maybe. What about, where do you sit on Seiya?
I think Seiya is an elite bat. I really do. I think that the stats have been out there when he's a DH. When he is a DH, like there's actually a stat, like he's an elite bat. Okay. He was very mad about not playing right field. The universe always takes care of itself because he ended up playing right field for us throughout the second half of the season and then into the playoffs. And I'll be honest with you, I always thought Seiya's defense was going to be better than it was, but once he was put back into right field, his defense was actually pretty good. I don't remember any bad thing that happened last year that I was like, Seiya, like there was 2 years ago when he dropped that fly ball that cost us, but last year I don't remember anything that was really like crushing for me defensively. So Seiya Suzuki, I feel like is one of two guys on that list that I think that possibly his best days are ahead of him still. I think that give me a healthy full season out of Seiya Suzuki, maybe as a DH only. We'll see how the season shakes out. I think that there's more in the tank with that bat, and I think his bat can be elite.
Of all these players that we're talking about here, Seiya and Nico have the highest potential to get that 4-year deal. Right? And Sarah, if you could go up a little bit on Michael Thiel or just like search his thing. I think he had a really good one. I want to do his Toyota Super Chat that I think is leading into what Justin was talking about. I think it's right here. Seiya could win a gold glove in left field with the Toyota Super Chat. His defense isn't that bad, and left field is terrible defensively across Major League Baseball. Definitely a better bat than Happ. That's an interesting comment of how you want to maybe transition or retool this team moving forward, that if you have Seiya Suzuki in left field providing you a little bit more power, and I agree with you, I think left field he could play that position pretty decently, and I don't know if he could win a gold glove, but maybe we could find out and try, and then you can start targeting right field. I think that's an interesting way to sort of combination this whole thing moving forward, because Nico's in the same area where if you extend Nico, he could be a second baseman. He could be your shortstop of the future in a couple of seasons after Dansby. That's the sort of thinking that I'm kind of trying to put myself into the mindset of moving forward. My only thing with Seiya is it's a razor thin thing where, like, as it stands right now, I don't think the Chicago Cubs would necessarily want to be back in the business of extending Seiya at this moment. If Seiya returns next year and hits another 30 bombs and drives in another 100 runs, and
now he has a superpower.
And now he has a superpower. But then does he then price himself? Does he then price himself out of being a Chicago Cub?
That's not how it works. You got to do it early or you don't do it.
So, like, the likelihood, I'm not as optimistic on, even though I think he is the best player of this list. I think he's a player that has a high percentage of getting that type of extension, that 3-4 year type of deal. But what does that look like? And is that with the Chicago Cubs? Is it a 4-year deal for whatever, $120 million? Is he a $30 million player a year on that type of raise? That's the question I'm going to be intrigued and fascinated to watch all season long.
Yeah, and you got to figure out, okay, when these guys age, where do they go from here? Like, what happens after this? My other thought on Nico is, I agree. For me, Nico's the most likely and the guy you would want to give that to the most. But if you're asking what I said, superpowers, okay, Seiya has a superpower in that he can hit.
Yes.
Okay?
Hit well.
Nico's superpower is that he does all the small things in baseball. And the only thing I question about is right now he's super valuable because if Dansby goes down, he can play short because he just showed us he can play short. But he's going to be 29. And there aren't too many guys in baseball that go move to second base. Granted, he did it because Dansby came over. There aren't too many guys that get older and then say, I'm going to switch to
the harder position.
I'm going to switch to shortstop, which we weren't sure about 3 years ago anyway.
Right.
But so
if it's anybody who could do it, I mean, look at him and,
he could, but at that point, there might be somebody else that's better at shortstop.
True. But I think we're looking at Nico right now as like, he plays second. He's a Gold Glove second baseman, and he's a great insurance plan if something happens to Dansby Swanson. Hopefully nothing happens to Dansby, and that's you got Dansby and Nico up the middle for the next 3 or 4 years.
And I'll just add really quick on Nico is that we talk a lot about Owen Casey and PCA and this development curve that a lot of these guys go through. Nico Hoerner, from the moment that he got graduated to the major leagues, showed up and has been by and large the same player that he's always been, except for he's been getting incrementally better and more consistent as the years have gone on. He came up and immediately delivered and produced. There was never that, it's a tough learning curve or the Major League Baseball is adjusting to him. He's just a really solid hitter who has a lot of intelligence up at the plate. He knows what he's doing. He brings the same thing to the game every single day, and it has only gotten percentage miles better every single year. And I understand at some point it will tip down, but in terms of consistency and bankability of an extension,
he's the guy.
I don't know if it's any better than Nico right now out of that list.
All right. Well, I like Jake Tendo's comment here. We'll get to that coming up after a break. But first, a word from our sponsors on the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota.
Hey, Luke, I don't know if you noticed, the sun is shining on me right now. That's because I go to Sunnyside Dispensary because they're here to elevate your football season. I know it's not baseball season right now, but Sunnyside, they are your home for judgment-free shopping. Crazy selection right now with over 100 different strains to choose from with easy online ordering and in-store pickup. Wherever you are in Illinois, Sunnyside, they got your back and they got a location for you. They got spots as far south as Champaign and as far north as South Beloit. So stop in today and check out their wonderful expert guidance from their wonderful expert staff. Head to their website right now for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. That is only if you use our promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. For returning customers, you can also use CHGO50, but remember, exclusions apply. It's Sunnyside Dispensary. Bright buys every day, and it's only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders. Sunnyside, get those Rays.
Sun will come out tomorrow. No, or it'll come out today.
Right now.
New vehicles in store at Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, and this is your chance to score a great deal at the New Year's End sales event. Head to Ray CDJR on Route 12 today to choose from their huge inventory of new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram vehicles. Right now, get $0 down and 0 payments until March on all new CDJR models. And with their friendly team of brand experts, that team at Ray CDJR is ready to help you during each step of your car shopping journey. Plus, since they prioritize affordability, you know you won't overpay. And Ray's price promise, you can shop confidently. No add-ons, no hidden fees. The price you see is the price you pay. It's that simple. Go check out our partner today. Shop one of the Chicago area's largest inventories. Find the right new vehicle for you, then drive home happy. The team at Ray CDJR is waiting for you. We recommend them. Don't miss out. The year-end sales event for huge savings on new vehicles. For more information, Ray CDJR on Route 12 or online, raycdjr.com. Back on the CHGO Cubs podcast, we're talking about the 5 players that are in their walk year, whether or not somebody should get an extension, who's the most likely to get an extension. We'll rank them good, better, best here in just a little bit. It's Jake Tendo says in a Toyota Super Chat, says it feels like the team would rather extend Happ over Seiya, and I'm not a fan of that.
I'm not either, actually.
Go farther, though. Jake Tendo, jump back in the chat. Why do you feel that way specifically, though? Because he'd be cheaper? Because he's been on the Cubs longer? Don't forget that Seiya Suzuki, we were doing that thing of like, when was the last time, if Tetsuya Amai became a Chicago Cub, when was the last time the Cubs won a sweepstakes for a player? They did convince and win the bidding for Seiya Suzuki when he made a choice to come over and play for the first time in America. He chose the Chicago Cubs. So I think there's some value and investment there too as well.
We can do it because we're a podcast. We can just say, which player do you like better? Yeah. But the Cubs have to look at it and say, all right, but what about all the stuff around them? Mm-hmm. What's the value you're getting? Like, I can say that I would want Seiya over Happ, but what if Happ's willing to come here and be your 4th outfielder for nothing? Well, then that's super valuable.
And that's what I was going to say. I think that Happ, I don't want to say company man, but I think Happ's part of, like, he's a favorite of the front office, I think, you know? And that's great. I mean, he's, again, super nice guy, and they must have a great repertoire. But I think that we've all kind of talked about it. I think we already know what Ian Happ's limits are, okay? I don't think next year we're going to be shocked that Ian Happ does blah, 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 blah. But I don't think we know what Seiya Suzuki's limit is yet. I mean, is it possible the guy hits 40 home runs? The first half of last year, we thought he was going to. I mean, so ultimately, like, I think there's just so much more potential. in Seiya Suzuki, and all things being equal, I think I would 1,000% rather have Seiya in left field or wherever than Ian Happ.
I'm with you, or I blindly have faith that there is more to be untapped, if you will, from Seiya Suzuki, and I do think that he can have that kind of monster type season. And frankly, that was his trajectory last year for a better part of the first 90 plus games of last year. Was
and he carried us.
Seiya having a huge year last year.
And he carried us in the playoffs. I mean, he really was one of the only offensive weapons we had when it mattered the most, down the stretch and during the playoffs.
All right, so the next guy on the list is Jameson Taillon. He was super valuable to the Cubs last year with steal out. And he was very consistent. And even in the postseason, he was very valuable to you. 34 next year. Mm-hmm. Where does that put you with a player then you'd be looking at 35 years old? And I think that would be the biggest knock on the Taillon thing is looking at an arm now, not a position player, but an arm at 35. And how does that play? Again, the Cubs side of it would have to be value. If the player's coming to you and saying, want to be here, want to finish my career here, willing to accept that I'm potentially going to be Colin Ray moving forward. Like, that's a different story.
Yeah.
But the age starts to scare me about Taillon, but he has been very reliable as a guy who eats some serious innings for you.
Totally. I think he, if we go into not next season, but the season after that, with Jameson Taillon being like our number 5 for a couple years, I would take that. But I think, Joey, kind of how you said, it all depends on next year. If JMO falls off a cliff all of a sudden, but I mean, what I saw last year, I mean, the guy was nails, and again, I go back to Seiya Suzuki. When it mattered the most, Jameson Taillon down the stretch and in the postseason, 2 elimination games, Jameson Taillon, he stepped up and rose to the occasion, and that is somebody that I would love to have. Now, we're not talking about a 4-year deal like he's coming. We're talking about maybe a 1 year with an option situation, 2-year deal max. But like he is somebody I would like to have in that rotation. Again, more like on the low side, 4 or 5 in a rotation. I would be very happy with that.
Yeah, in terms of open market, I think he has a lot of variance. Right, I'm with you on that. I don't think he'll get that 4-year deal. I agree with you. What's interesting about it, he's entering his walk year of his contract, making $18 million a year. And you just saw Merrill Kelly, who's 37 or 38 years old, signed a 2-year deal for $40 million. We just wrung our hands about Shota Imanaga picking up his $20.5 million contract, right? So, I'm with you. Jameson Taillon is maybe going to be he's going to be able to control some of his own controllables, but I think there are going to be some elements that are going to be out of Jameson Taillon's control. As in example 1, let's just pretend for a moment that Cade Horton comes back and is an all-star.
Yes.
Let's pretend for a moment Jackson Wiggins graduates and we say, wow, I can't wait to see what this looks like the next couple of years and he has success at the major league level. Or let's just pretend the Chicago Cubs actually make that trade that we keep talking about over and over and over again.
Yeah.
If any of those things happen, now a more realistic scenario is, Jameson Taillon, back-end guy, provide you some good innings. I'm into it as long as the production checks out the next year.
Yeah.
The question that I would have, Luke, at 34 years old, is Jameson Taillon going to ask for $20 million just because it is the market, even though that that you'd be getting diminishing results? Like, what does that look like? Or could you find something, again, can we get into team-friendly territory here and think about that?
Listen, I think on this list, if I'm looking at it, it's not that I don't like Taillon. I really value him. I don't think too many teams are in the business of extending 34, 35-year-old pitchers.
Right.
Merrill Kelly got his 2 years, $40 million, but he got it after he became a free agent. They didn't wait.
Right.
They didn't say, what if he hits the market? We've already seen them do with the next guy, Shota, and say, test the market out, see what's out there. When you start to hit 30+ years old and you're a pitcher and you're not Skubal, you're not an ace, you're not Skeens in their prime, then teams are more likely not, even though there is a great value on pitching, they're still more likely to let you hit the market. And then when the market tells them what your price is, say, all right, now let's work something out.
Yes, yeah.
That's way more likely for those two guys. So that's how I feel about Taillon and Shota, but especially Taillon at 34.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and let's just get into Shota here really quick, where I think what makes Shota different is, I get it, he's a little bit younger. He's 32 years old. And they both ended the seasons completely. Yeah, Lefty's a good point. Yeah. Ended the seasons on completely different paths. We were like, yes, Jameson Taillon, thank you, and Shota Imanaga, get out of town. But I will tell you though that Shota Imanaga has an opportunity. And you mentioned the left-handed thing. He has the profile. He has an all-star in his resume where I can actually envision a world where he has a bounce-back season and pitches well for the Chicago Cubs. And then and frankly, I'm just going to be honest with you, some dumb team out there like the Angels or the Pirates or one of those lower market teams says, you know what, we're going to give Shota Imanaga a 3-year deal for the money that he wants because he's a former all-star. He stabilizes our rotation, and we have to pay above the sticker price to bring in a player like that. Like, I think Shota has that opportunity sort of sitting in front of him if he can bounce back and produce. I think of all the guys, I guess, Justin, the one is, which one do you think is the least likely to get an extension with the Chicago Cubs right now? Well, I'm leaning kind of Shota or Taillon.
Yeah, I'd say probably Taillon because he's older. I want to just piggyback on Shota really fast. It's so funny because recency bias is a real thing. Shota Imanaga was horrible for us down the stretch in the playoffs. But in his 2-year span here with the Cubs, a year and a half of that was great.
Yeah.
And you said yourself, all-star.
Yes.
Like a year and a half of his 2 years was great. So I could totally, like you said, picture a world where next year he's fully healthy, he stopped tipping pitches, whatever it is, and all of a sudden you're looking at a guy who was great for a year and a half. So I think that there's a higher upside with Shota Imanaga because he's younger, because he's lefty. So I do think Jameson Taillon is the least likely to get an extension out of those two guys or whatever. But I mean, I've been recency bias. Shota had a bad taste in my mouth because of Shota. But really, when you think about it, a year and a half was great. There's a lot to be excited about if they fix the problem with what happened in the playoffs and second half of last year.
I'm actually with you on that, Justin, in that I said Taillon's the least likely. Even though Shota's 2 years younger, they already had the opportunity to work out a quote-unquote extension.
Right.
They already had a chance to look at 2-3 years with him and extend it beyond whatever. And no, they were willing to wait and see if he even accepted it first. So I would agree with that, and I think those two are the least likely for sure to get any sort of extension done. That doesn't mean they're the least likely to be on the Cubs in 2 years.
Right.
Or after this following season. Not at all.
Yeah.
It just thinks that I believe that they will hit free agency.
I agree.
Okay? So now let's get to our good, better, best.
Yes.
I don't want to go through the whole thing.
You take your shirt
I'm
off?
not taking my shirt off again. I don't know how many times you guys have asked me to do that.
Taking your shirt off.
Well, the ratings haven't been high enough yet.
The Viking and going to Mordor here.
I have been called Adonis a few times, but
okay.
No, I actually have
not. You haven't, never.
Never.
That was just at Starbucks and they got the orders wrong. Or like they labeled the cups
How
wrong.
many likes?
I believe the Phillies just signed Adonis Garcia,
They
didn't
did,
they?
yeah.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, we could get a real bump, I'm sure, ratings-wise. All right, so Happ, Seiya, Nico, Taillon, Shota. We're all in agreement with what our best is, but we'll get to it last.
Okay.
The conversation is good. Who's the good out of that group? Because I think we agree on better and best.
We do. I think we all agree, yes.
Good. I believe that conversation is Happ, Taillon, Shota.
Yes, I agree.
And based on what I just said, now this is a different conversation because I said most likely.
Right.
Now, what would be the best to get? The best version of that? I would say the good is probably Shota.
I'm changing to Shota too. I was gonna go good
Probably
with
Shota.
Ian Happ, but we've just kind of
Like
talked
if you
it
could
out.
talk him into it. I think it's the least likely.
Yeah.
But that's how it also tells me that it's also maybe should be on at least the good, better, best.
Yes. And, obviously, Shota, all he had to do was get a 2-year deal for more money than what we're giving him, and he could have. I think he does love Chicago. I think he loves being a Cub. So he comes back, has a great year, and the Cubs, maybe midseason extend him, or at least he does come back on a multi-year deal. I think that partnership right there is there's a lot of potential for it, and it could last for however long it lasts. But I think that Shota Imanaga is so interesting because he was so bad at the end of the year and the playoffs, but a year and a half of those 2 years here, he was a really, really, really good pitcher for us and an all-star. So I know Ian Happ's got he's the front office boy. I think he is the front office boy, and he's a real nice guy. But I just think that Shota Imanaga, there's more upside with Shota Imanaga if he can fix the injury and the tipping of the pitches than there is with Ian Happ.
Yeah, I walked into this show prepared for Ian Happ to be my good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was. And now we're talking it through. And you're right. Like, Shota Imanaga, when he's on his game, is a sub-3 ERA pitcher who gives you 5 to 6 really quality innings with a K9 rate that is just over 8, so almost 1 per inning. So he's giving you, I mean, we get it. We get hung up on the home runs all the time. But this is a guy who's gone out and won some ball games for us, for sure. And I get it that he fell off the map last year, and we're going to find out whether that was more an anomaly or more that that's a taste of things to come, of what the trajectory of his career is right now. But Shota Imanaga, when he's right, he is the true good on this team, and I think he would be more impactful on the Cubs next year if we get that version of Shota back than maybe just the good of Ian Happ. But maybe now I'm underselling Ian Happ like everybody else in Chicago
Now you're going
does.
to change your mind again?
No, I'm sticking with Shota. Shota's good.
Final answer.
Shota good.
All right, I'm going to tell you why I changed my mind during this show after we take a quick timeout. That was very Fear Factor or something, wasn't it?
Hey, Cubs fans, and more importantly, athletes, I got a question for you. Are you serious right now about leveling up your game? Because the right coach can change everything, and now finding one is easy with Eye on the Ball, the company created by CHGO diehards, so they're friends of ours. They made Eye on the Ball this fantastic company that it doesn't matter if your kid is just starting out or trying to compete at the top level. You can sign up totally free at eyeontheball.net. They match amazing coaches with amazing athletes to level up your performance. All you have to do is create your profile, search through coaches in your sport, and they connect you directly with one that's right for you. Soccer, swimming, polo, pickleball, basketball, golf, the big ones,
even
folks.
for the ARP card members like me, you can find a coach.
That's correct. Doesn't matter. You name it. The coaches are just sitting there. So what are you waiting for? Your future coach can be just one click away. Jump on today at eyeontheball.net. Remember, that's eyeontheball.net, the company created by CHGO diehards. Find your coach today, athletes, and take your game to the next level.
Level it up. You know that moment, the one where you realize you left your favorite sunglasses at the beach.
Hate that moment.
Or on the roof of the car, or at a gas station 3 states away, or your kids just pulled them half apart. I've been there, all those cases. Then I found Shady Rays, and it changed the game for me. These are sunglasses made for real life, seriously good-looking, polarized, that's key when you're looking for a golf ball, durable, and not stupid expensive. And here's the wild part. If you lose or break them, even on day one, Shady Rays is going to give you a brand new pair. No guilt trip, just replacements. So I wear my sunglasses now without fear. Where do I wear them? On hikes, at concerts, on the boat fishing.
Looking good.
I wear them on the golf course when I'm off in the rough away from everybody else, kicking my ball. I can see it clearly right through my Shady Rays, polarized Shady Rays eyewear that has your back. We've teamed up with Shady Rays, an exclusive offer right now. Use the code CHGO, 35% off polarized shades at shadyrays.com. Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by more than 300,000 people.
I need Shady Rays.
Back on the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota. So we're doing good, better, best, the 5 guys that are in their walk year, and we're talking extension. Who would be the best to get an extension? Who's the most likely to get an extension? When we were talking about good, we said, all right, it's not, we believe that better, best is Seiya Nico. That's not a secret, right? Nico's the best.
Yes.
Seiya is our better.
Yes.
And our good is, we've been going back and forth. Is it Taillon? Is it Happ? Is it Shota? And I, like Joey, was first thinking Ian Happ. But the bottom line is this. I flipped my mind because I thought to myself, like, what am I talking about? What's more valuable to a team? Making sure you've extended your 4th outfielder?
Right.
Or making sure you've extended a guy who could be one of your 5 starters? And the answer is one of the 5 starters. It just is. You can find a 4th outfielder. You can find your Mike Talkman every single year.
Yes.
Your 4th outfielder. And a lot of times that guy just keeps coming up from the minor league system.
Yeah.
So that would be my answer. Now I've switched my mind. Happ's out of the conversation, even though I'm not saying it's not right to have him. He might be one of the more likely ones because of his relationship with the Cubs. Right. I just don't think it's that necessary.
Yeah, blame Ben Johnson. He should have a good, better best.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
It's not I'm happy, and I'm thrilled.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. No, but I mean, you're right. At some point, Ian Happ, as dependable as he's been and the numbers are there, like, he's not a superstar, and I don't think he's going to be a superstar, right? Where other guys we talked about, there's more there with Seiya. I think there's more there for Nico. And again, we talked about Shota was your ace for a little bit, and a damn good one. So I think that there's nothing wrong in flip-flopping that, because I do think that Shota is more valuable, and there's a higher potential there. Yeah,
and I think a big reason why I also think Nico Hoerner deserves the best is not just that consistency, and I agree with you. I think that there's more in the tank and more to prove. And youngest also Gold Glove player, incredibly consistent. But also, like, let's just be real about this. He's also the player that might be the easiest to sign if you're the Chicago Cubs. He's not a player that most likely, unless he turns into our dreams personified, which we've talked about, and he turns into a 20 home run player, hits that 300 that he almost hit last year, and wins a Gold Glove and steals 25 plus bags. Nico Hoerner probably will not be a $100 million player.
Right.
Probably not, right? I think you'll be able to get him just around, hopefully, that 70 to 85-ish range. And you think he can do it?
You jumped my next question.
Oh,
you jumped my next question. Just friend of the show,
right here.
Friend of the show, Greg Huss, who loves the prospects, loves baseball. He's at Out of the Vines on Twitter. He was just saying on Twitter, I think today, I was reading it, and he was like, man, he would have been a free agent had he not signed. Mm-hmm. Right now, Nico would be a free agent that could market himself in a weak shortstop market. Mm-hmm. What would he be getting right now had he not signed the first extension with the Cubs? And he joked at first. He said, man, Nico would be getting $200 million. And he's like, all right, that was an exaggeration. But what about 5 for $130? And I thought to myself, now that's high too. Then people started chiming in. Cubs fans started chiming in. And I kind of landed in the middle with some of them. And I thought to myself, 5 for $90 with the way that is 90 too high for a guy that doesn't hit any home runs? I don't know. I think there's value
which
there.
Is like a $17.5-ish million. See, like that's the area that I think is an optimal. If Nico Hoerner wants to maximize an optimal, I think the 5 for $90 makes a lot of sense for both sides, personally.
And I think he wants to stay with the Cubs.
I agree. I think he's the heart and soul of this team. I think he's the heart and soul of this team. I think he plays the right way in every aspect of his game. I don't think he's a 20 home run guy, but I do think there's more power there. I've said it before. I'll say it again. He's not hitting basket shots. The home run, even in the playoffs, the home run that he hit in the playoffs was a bomb. I mean, you look at him, you look at his body. He's stacked. I feel like there is more power there. Again, not 20 home runs, but I wouldn't be shocked if he hit 15 home runs next year. I mean, if he really tried, back in the day, and I'm not saying he's going to be this, but Sandberg didn't hit for power either until he was told, like, hey, pull the ball, and then he became a home run hitter. Again, Nico's not that, but I wouldn't be shocked if there was more power in there that's being untapped right now.
So we all kind of think maybe he's not a $100 million player. Like, I think the love for Nico came out this season for Cubs fans. Like, last offseason, half the fan base was ready to ship him out to try and get something good back, right? And I think a steady season like he showed has raised his value maybe to the organization even more.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Not that they were ever down on him. And the funny thing is that teams are calling about him right now.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, that doesn't mean the Cubs are shopping him, but if you're trying to get some of these higher end pitchers, they start asking for things they want. They start asking for your Horton, your Shaw, your Nico.
Luke, I said to you,
not all on one guy, hopefully.
Right. I think last time I was on, I said, again, this is just me thinking about things. If you're going to sign Bregman, Matt Shaw's got to play somewhere. And if you're not trading him, right? I don't think you trade Matt Shaw. I think that there's a lot of potential in Matt Shaw. Matt Shaw's natural position was second base. So if you're going to sign Bregman, you put Shaw at second. That means that you could trade Nico on an expiring contract to package him up to get something that you need in the pitching staff, right? So while I don't think it's likely, I think there's a lot of moving pieces here where it's like, we're talking about extension, but let's make sure that he's the fit on the roster and isn't someone that you trade.
It's going to be really interesting to watch, man. I understand markets change all the time, but if you roll the clocks back only 5 or 6 years, what was it like? Anthony Rizzo wanted like 5 for 100 or 5 for 110, and the Cubs came to him with like 5 for 80 or 90 or something like that. And now we're having the same conversation with Nico Hoerner. It's just kind of funny. And I would also like to offer an ad that I don't have the numbers in front of me, but there's something along the lines of the Cubs in 2027 only have like $40 million committed to players right now.
It's crazy.
Like they literally could be under the cap hundreds of millions of dollars. So there has to be a strategy to this. They've created this flexibility that they rightfully have patted themselves on the back for. But now once you have that flexibility, I'm not saying like go on a shopping spree and spend it all and go into credit card debt. But also the reason why you create that flexibility is to go out and make moves that are strategic and they're done on purpose, right? And I think Nico Hoerner is a guy that I would strategically go towards and try and, get a deal done. And hopefully it doesn't mean that it's $90 million, but if it's 5 for 75, 5 for 80, I think that's money well spent.
I see our guy Steve has said I'm okay to offer Nico $100 million for 6 years. So he's pushing it to 6 years to drop the AAV.
Okay.
But now you have him till he's like
35.
Yeah, so
Mark Grunzelonic, baby. Mickey Morandini. We've had him before. Todd Walker. We've had 35-year-old second baseman before that have worked
I think
out.
Sandberg was probably we had him.
Oh, yeah.
So
while teams are calling and asking about Nico, and it doesn't mean they're trading Nico, I saw that Carter Hawkins was asked about Shaw, and he was like, well, yeah, their teams are asking for crazy things. Like Shaw's basically untouchable.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was asked, is he untouchable? And then the answer, I think it was to Patrick Mooney and Sahadev Sharma of The Athletic. They were like, he's like, well, no player's untouchable, but I don't think it's very likely that a team would be able to give us the value that we would need to give up the control and the possibilities for what Matt Shaw could be. That could be posturing, of course.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see which would be, of those two, who would be more likely for the Cubs to be like, okay.
Of which two?
Nico and Shaw.
I think you trade Nico in a heartbeat over Shaw.
Over Shaw.
1,000%. For me, because don't forget, Shaw is cost controlled for how many, 5-6 years? And the potential, the guy has hit wherever he's been. And I know, listen, last year he took his lumps in the playoffs. He seemed overmatched in the playoffs. But don't forget that second half of Matt Shaw was pretty damn good, and his defense was spectacular all season long.
They love the idea of having all these expiring contracts, though.
I think I'm having a hard time separating the personality of Nico Hoerner with the player of Matt Shaw.
Yeah.
With that argument you just made, Justin, the problem is there's not really an argument with obviously their offense. I would rather have Matt Shaw than Nico, but I'm having a hard time figuring out if I would rather have Nico's defense or Shaw's defense. Now, mind, if I'm looking back at last season, I can only really remember the big moments Matt Shaw had at third, but that's also because I have a whole take on third base has been missing. I didn't like Morel. I'm happy he's gone. Right. I would rather have Matt Shaw there, and I was happy with him being there. Yeah. And then him going back down and then coming back up, and then he performed the way he did. Nico won a Gold Glove this year, though, so as he always does. So it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of certainty versus potential, right? Like
it's hard.
Like Matt Shaw's at a different point that Nico Hoerner was in 2019. And Nico Hoerner is, I think we all agree that if he isn't already the player that he's going to be, he's really close. Maybe there's more that you can extract out of Nico Hoerner and he can have better seasons. But for the most part, that consistency and bankability is already there. Yeah. So the point of the trade, is it all just goes into the formula of if Matt Shaw is in a trade, lesser prospects are attached to it because of the control and the years. If Nico Hoerner is involved in a trade, I think you would maybe have to juice it with maybe more of a higher prospect to get a type of deal done. Now, I'm throwing this out there as a hypothetical. I'm not saying whether that's Edward Cabrera or Mackenzie Gore, whatever that is. But it seems like people, you're right, people seem to cover the control of Matt Shaw more maybe than the certainty of Nico Hoerner.
Boy, I think I'd rather have Nico, even though that I know Shaw has the potential to hit more home runs. One is way more proven at the major league level. One showed you a good second half, but struggled in the playoffs, and it's very early in his development. I'm not saying that they don't look at him and say he could be this.
Yeah.
But we know what Nico is. And he's on an expiring contract, which allows you to either extend him, re-up the negotiations again and get it at a more affordable level to you. I think they like the idea of having those books real clean at the end of the thing.
Right? It's like, hey, what if I told you this year Matt Shaw hit 295, wins a Gold Glove, and leads the team in runners in scoring position? You'd be like, that's amazing. That's what Nico Hoerner just did, right? It's like it's already like realized is the thing.
One more question I have for you on this. I think, listen, Nico's probably a better defender, but Matt Shaw's a very good defender. So I think for me, it's a wash.
Matt Shaw could play second.
But offensively, where's the potential there? I think I'm hoping we all agree that the potential is greater with Matt Shaw from a power standpoint. So you 6 years of control with this guy who maybe his floor is Nico Hoerner, but his freaking ceiling is like, I mean, bonkers. And I don't know. For me, I would keep Shaw. And I'm the biggest Nico fan in the world. That hypothetical, I would rather keep Matt Shaw for another 6 years than Nico for one more year.
I still think that if they were to somehow luck into Bregman falling to them, that both will be on the team and Shaw would be the super utility guy that plays different positions.
There's room for everyone.
Real quick, too, something, since we're already over an hour, but real quick, the one thing I still cannot get over, even though I know Nico is great with just hitting the base hits, getting people on base, making things happen, he didn't hit a home run for months into the season.
Yeah, he got his first one like deep in the season.
That's something where it's like, I know that's not who he is, but that's something that does concern me, is that it took him months to even hit one home run.
But that's not what they're asking him to do.
But that's not what they're asking him to do.
Anymore.
And that's an argument too.
Yeah, anymore.
After they tried it.
It
didn't work.
Hey, I mean, great problem to have. These are great players we're talking about. And I just, you're kind of like, it's kind of like, I forget the old saying, but like what you have in your hand versus like what you could have. And I think the potential is greater for Matt Shaw. And I like what I saw last year defensively all year. And I like what I saw offensively for a stretch, you know, and that excites me for next year.
Maybe we should just keep them both and just spend money.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
That's a different podcast.
Now that's the one I want.
That's known as the Godfather podcast.
It's like Kyle Tucker's either going to Toronto Blue Jays for $400 million, or he's going to sign like the perfect Cubs 2-year deal with a high AV and an opt-out, but the Cubs won't be involved. And we're trying to decide of like selling off our favorite children of Matt Shaw and Nico Hoerner. Keep them both.
Keep everybody and then sign more players.
There you go. That's a philosophy
and
as well.
Develop everybody.
And nominate us for a Golden Globe.
We're ready.
Let's do it.
We're ready for our close-up.
Thanks for checking out
Look
the
at those
CHGO
pecs.
Cubs podcast presented by Toyota. Back tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Thanks to Justin for coming in for Tuesdays with Roman. We will see you tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.